investors, we thank you for being here today. I first would like to ask a very strange favor of you. I would like you to close your eyes for just a moment. Thank you. Now, I want you to picture yourself just somewhere in the mountains out in Burnaby. It's a crisp summer's day. It is beautiful out. Trees, wildlife surround you. It truly is a magical moment. And to celebrate this moment, you take a deep breath in. Crisp, fresh air is what you would expect. But no, the air is stale. It is smoky. You may open your eyes to the reality that the wildfires here in BC are an issue, and it is something that we need to address today. Families have their houses burnt down to this issue. People cannot work because the air quality from these fires are so severe. It is a problem that needs to be addressed today. And now I ask the investors, what is the cause of these forest fires? Why have they been so rampant in recent years? Well, it is a problem about yay big. It is something in the form of the Rocky Mountain pine beetle. And this is an issue that firefighters in BC and in all other areas are failing to mitigate. And so today, with our help, we will help eliminate these pests, and so that we can have a better tomorrow, a more sustainable tomorrow, and a tomorrow with better air quality so our families and our workers can do what they do best. Good morning. My name is John. These are my colleagues, Roger and Evan, and together we make up Micropine. So, as an Ask Overview, we are asking for $150,000 with a 25% equity stake. This is going to give you an NPV of $500,000. And so what is the opportunity that presents itself today? Pine beetles have been on a rampant outbreak here in BC, as we've already discussed. This is causing major wildfires and making air quality in surrounding areas terrible. With Micropine, we're going to be reducing and maintaining the level of these pine beetles, and therefore reducing these wildfires, making better air quality, and improving the quality of life for all BC residents. Now, this all sounds great, but how exactly are we going to do this? Evan is now going to touch on the product details about how we operate.
So as John said, right now it is a critical moment for the environment. Whether you believe in it or not, climate change is real, and with climate change, the planet is warming and pine beetles become rampant. It takes about 2 weeks at minus 30 degrees Celsius for pine beetles to die off, and with warming winters, this becomes an increasing problem. So how does this go to work? First, this is a tree pod. A tree pod is a drone flew-in, deployable, microwaving, pheromone-based pine beetle removal system. At a cost of around $520 per unit, it's very economically viable going into the future. How does it work? First, it is filled with pheromones patented by our specific company, as Roger will touch on a little later. And with this, it attracts the pine beetles to the surrounding area in order to collect them, harvest them, and then from there, microwaves will be released and killing these pine beetles in a short burst of microwaves in order to eliminate them effectively, quickly, and for a low cost. As with the power, where this microwave will get its power is through a solar panel adjusted on top of the tree pod specifically, and then from there, that power will collect throughout the day, and then with a short burst near the end of the day, it will collect, throw out a short microwave burst, and then kill the pine beetles that are stuck within the tree. How do we get them out there? We fly them in with specifically operated drones with engineers that we have within our company. So we have our warehouse in Prince George, and from there we want to drive them through with trucks, have the drones operate, because northern BC, there's not a lot of roads or paths. Sometimes it takes a little creative thinking in order to get to these specific locations. So with drones being able to fly over top the trees, drop them into a pre-located area, we can find and get the most impact for each one of these pods placed on the ground. And then with this is an obvious risk. Flying drones in bad weather, they don't really correlate. That's not something that works out too well. So, but talking about this a little more on, John will talk a little bit more about that. And then, from our product, the pheromones are released as these pine beetles are attracted to the pheromones. They become collected in within the tree, and this is supposed to cover about a 5 square kilometer area. From there, it will take these pine beetles and then eliminate them specifically with those microwave bursts.
Can I just ask a quick question, just to clarify something? So you're selling the pod to a government organization or a user, or are you also the user that's driving into these areas and deploying the pods?
Yeah, we're selling to, I'll touch on the customer experience in a few slides actually, but in terms of that, we're talking more on forestry agents and these government-oriented forestry departments, and then we want to, specifically from our company, fly it out and deliver most of the service and operate through a subscription and contract-based model.
Well, what's the pricing of the model?
Roger will touch on the pricing in a little bit, but do you want to give a quick rundown?
Yeah, sure. So per contract, it's about $500,000 per client. So this could be per year, one given area. Yeah, per year. As well as, so it's split into both a subscription revenue model as well as just setting up the products. There's a small cost for setup as well as for pheromones and materials like that. So as we go into the future, we see a sustainable business model as far as we're concerned.
What about unintended attraction? You know, the pine beetles are going to get attracted to the pheromones. Are there other things that potentially could also get attracted to it that you wouldn't want to?
That is definitely a huge risk. So what we've considered is wildlife is going to be the next biggest things, whether that be small squirrels, rabbits, or something along those lines. And then with that, before the microwaves go off, we want to release a loud noise to scare away these creatures, birds, whatever creature they may be, in order to prevent the damage to those potential wildlife. And then, like I said, just a quick rundown, it's going to be eliminated through those microwaves, and then these pine beetles will be disposed of naturally and decomposed underneath the tree.
Are there any risk in I don't know if you just asked this, but are there any risk in hurting other things that we don't want to eliminate? Like other types of wildlife?
Definitely, like I said, it's more talked with the next consideration was the squirrels and the rabbits, the smaller creatures we figured, and then the birds that could get close to the pod itself.
Tying into the Vancouver 2020 goal of being the greenest city in the world.
Definitely, we want to help increase that air quality level going forward. We want to get this a full rollout by that 2020 goal, so we can make sure we're part of that and go forward with that overall goal.
How big of a problem is this? Like, what's the market opportunity for Vancouver, but then also like 5 years out?
I'd love to answer that. So last year,
really tough.
last year in August, there were 680 wildfires in BC at any given time. Each one of these wildfires needs to be put out with extensive tax revenues throughout the government, which has a large cost on all taxpayers. Now, our solution costing $500,000 per area is significantly lower than the cost of sending out firemen, helicopters, fire trucks, all over BC to these hard-to-reach areas. And that's one large advantage to our product. So we'll go into our edge here. So one large edge of our product is the fact that we can actually move it into these specific locations within BC. And exactly that is what we plan to do. So once you move this pod into that location, it reduces the deadfall on the ground and reduces the chance of a wildfire.
So what does the $500,000 actually get? Like, how many areas are there? Like how many $500,000 contracts can you actually sell?
We plan to sell to Golden as our first customer, so the Golden and Picking Forest area in BC. This area needs to protect their land. They're based mostly on tourism and the exploration of mountains. That's a large source of their revenue, and to protect that, they'd love to invest in our technology.
So municipalities.
And surrounding areas.
So in terms of the specific early adopters, if you want to go back to that, right there is government forest agencies. We figure this is the greatest part to start with, as it is the most impact per customer per $500,000 contract. So specifically, the qualifications we want to see are these areas susceptible to forest fires. Like Roger said, the Golden areas, the Fernie areas, the Whistler areas. These are, especially Whistler recently with the $2 million hiccup they sent to the oil company, but different subject for a different time. And then with the large pine beetle population, Roger can touch a little more on that. And then large pine beetle population, this is a huge thing right now, because if the population is large, that means it's very more susceptible to wildfires.
How did you come up with this idea? Do you have background in this industry, or how did you develop? Have you developed it yet? Have you tested it?
This idea was developed through the lean startup method as well as design thinking. So we've been consulting with these customers and asking them what their needs are. And we found that no current solutions actually answer this problem. And that's been kind of our marketing solution as well. So maybe we'll just jump to that slide quickly. We've been bouncing around a lot, but that's fine.
Sorry, which slide was that?
Just the marketing slide. So our marketing plan with these customers was first to reach out to these government municipalities and areas of high risk. Following that, we discuss their pains and the customer's needs from our product and our services. Then we demonstrate the product values and what our product can actually do. This is the next step that we're actually currently enrolled in, as we've been speaking to these governments for quite a while now. Then we receive feedback and discuss any ways in which we can improve. And following that, we actually make those adjustments and bring a new solution, a better solution every time we speak to them. And exactly what that would look like in the customer experience is what Evan was talking about prior.
That's right. So before this, I was talking about the customer experience specifically, and what it's going to run through is, first up, we're going to talk about this, and we're going to discuss with customers, as Roger said, we're going to demonstrate the value that we can provide. We want to have the customer purchase the service. From there, we will consult the location and the specific terrain, as they may have identified more areas that are more prone to pine beetles, or more peak areas that are susceptible to forest fires. And then from there, we want to dispatch the drones and our operators in order to get there as quick as possible. As well, we want to fly the tree pod to the site, and then kind of consult, track, repeat. This is a big step, as in it's consulting the environment around it, seeing how effective it actually is in terms of our values specifically, and then tracking it. We want to make sure that this tree pod is working, that the pheromones are releasing properly, that these bugs are being tracked and eliminated efficiently, and then repeat. We want to adjust the trees and see where the most impact is per tree.
Okay, so on the financials, I think it's an appendix of this either. I see you have engineers down as, I'm assuming that's their salary, $300,000.
Yes.
Who else is working for your company other than the engineers? Because I don't see any other sort of salaries on the books. Are you going to sell? Who's flying the drones?
So we do have some assembly staff and support staff in our company as well. They've been included as a variable cost on the financial statements. These people are the ones who are going to actually assemble the manufactured pieces that we're ordering into our facility, as well as fly these drones and be the drone operators. We're also bootstrapping a lot of the costs and helping out ourselves. This is a large challenge, but we're passionate individuals that really want to take on this issue head on. So we'll be in the factory doing our part as well.
What kind of margin do you have on the $500K?
It's a $200,000 unit margin per contract. Yeah. So we sell
the goods that you're manufacturing together, or that's the service or both included?
It includes the fixed cost split up per customer. So based on that, it is a rough estimate, but it will be around that margin.
Definitely. And in terms of scaling going forward, as well as the sustainability, those are our three main values. It's sustainable because we want to help forest fires, eliminate the carbon dioxide in the air, as well as reduce the overall air pollution in Vancouver, greater area. And then scalable going forward, this is a rampant problem. It's growing, as I said before, with increased climate change, the harder and harder it is for these pine beetles to be eliminated naturally. So going forward, we can scale down towards the southern states, go along Oregon as well. And then marketable. This is an idea that's fairly straightforward, very direct, and we want to show how far it can really go into the future.
So this brings us to our ask. Once again, we're asking you for $150,000 to fund these specific costs for a final NPV over 4 years of $500,000. So this is the warehouse, the trucks, as well as the engineers. Moving on from there.
Actually, can I just go back to that, please?
Sure.
So $150,000 to, so you don't have any revenue in year one.
No.
And you want $150,000 to, it doesn't seem like a lot of money to do what you guys want to do. What other
funding young entrepreneurs such as ourselves that want to make a social impact.
Have you talked to them?
Sorry?
Have you talked to them
Yes, we have. Yeah, we're speaking to them already, and we're seeking guidance on how we can finalize achieving this source of funding. We're also funding a portion of this ourselves with $120,000 coming from our own personal finances, as well as we're looking to the BC Tech Fund to cap off this financial investment for $360,000. Essentially what they look for is, again, entrepreneurs using technology in some way, shape, or form to improve the world that we live in today. They have $100 million in total in BC available, and we believe we can achieve $360,000 of that after speaking to them.
Is that for equity ownership of the company, the 360?
No, this is all donation.
Donation?
Yeah. Yeah, so it's essentially just to get us going, get us moving, and BC for everyone who lives within BC. They see a high value in the product and service that we're providing to the government itself, and they see it as a great investment for every citizen within BC. And this brings us to our edge. Once again, our financials. So this is a product that is in demand. Forest fires are becoming more and more rampant over the years, and the demand for a product that solves that problem is increasing as well. As you can see, our fixed costs are relatively flat. They're very high. They're a large portion of our costs. And because the demand is so high, we see that every single customer that we attain following this will result in a higher profit for our company. And because it is a subscription-based revenue, the profits are also sustainable based on the contract. And I would be lying if I didn't say I have a plan. We're people that love to put our words into action, so we've outlined our implementation here for you today. So in the first 4 months, we're going to be securing our $450,000 of funding. This is also when we're going to be purchasing our drones to carry our equipment into the forest, as well as locating our warehouse and purchasing any trucks on lease that we need to begin our operations. In the 4 to 8 month period, we'll also be completing our patent process. So we do have a provisional patent on the pheromones. This is what makes our business unfair in terms of our business model. We don't want anyone catching up to us, and we want to ensure our market share within this industry. As well as we're going to be beginning our product assembly. In the 8 to 12 month area, we're going to begin consulting or continue consulting with the BC forest industry. And again, just listening to what they need from us. And our product by this point should also be ready for sale. So it will be ready for the 2020 goal for the Vancouver area. Following this, in year 2, we're considering a Seed B investment to continue our operations and expand into Washington. So improving the air quality anywhere in the world is improving air quality for everyone. And as Washington and lower states are facing the same issue as BC, we see that as a great market to expand into. In year 3, we're going to continue farther south into the states, such as California. They've had incredible troubles with fires as well. And in year 4, we're going to consider future operations and future technology that can continue to solve this problem globally. We can move into other countries as well.
Yeah, so now just a couple things to take into consideration while we move ahead with our operations. First of all, we want to take a look at the effectiveness of the actual tree pods here today. So these things are worthless if they do not work. And so we set a high standard for ourselves, and we want them to be 98% effective. We want them to kill those bugs and take advantage of all the attractive bugs that come to the area and zaps them. And we want that done by the end of year 1. We continue to consult, we continue to monitor, and these tree pods are constantly reviewed by our staff. And so that's something we want to see by the end of year 1. Secondly,
What's the vision of the tree pods? Like, is it to always be using them as a service to your clients, or is it to eventually help them use it on their own so you guys don't have to worry about that?
So with our operations, we want to always, and this goes back to our marketing, we want to have a personal relationship with our clients, and we want to continue to help them. And And so our vision is to always be engaged with them. We believe that this is more than just a product. We believe that it is a solution to a problem that affects BC and all other forested areas that suffer from this issue. And so that's something that we want to continue to be engaged by. Going into the second point, we want to have instances of not meeting air quality to drop drastically to 10 instances a year. As outlined in the case, in 2008, we had 27 cases. That was in 2008. It's 2018 now. In the past 2 years, forest fires have become an extremely terrible problem. And so by the end of year 2, we want to see this mitigated. Finally, we want to expand our operations. The 50% is a rough estimation, but we want to expand into Washington. We believe that that is where our next operation and where our next opportunity lies, and so that's where we'll be going to. And that will be by the end of year 2 as well. And then just a couple of risks of mitigation that we have already covered today. Wildlife coming into the tree pods. Again, we have implemented a system where loud noise is emitted from the tree pod prior to the microwave being emitted. This is an attempt to scare off any wildlife and to kill one thing, and that is the Rocky Mountain pine beetle. Secondly, faulty pods. As we've talked about before, we are almost reviewing these pods. We're almost testing them out. And in terms of the pods getting knocked over, weather damaging them, we have a wide base, a strong foundation for these pods, and we have no worries going through the faulty pods as a risk. And then lastly, weather. As Evan's touched upon, weather is not an issue as well. We track the weather. We make sure that our work is not affected by it, as well as the beetles are quite seasonal, and so again, not too much of a risk. And so, investors, I would like to ask you today to open your eyes to the new possibilities. Wildfires in BC are an extreme problem, and with our help and your help, we can take on this and make a better tomorrow.